Okay, there we go. Hey, welcome to lesson number 5. And this is probably one of the more useful lessons for you because it tells you all about what a radio is supposed to be and so on and so forth. Uh, any uh, any questions? I saw that Mike was giving you a little rundown on antennas, and my gosh, there's antennas and antennas and radios, and I'll probably repeat myself quite a bit. Someone is going to ask you or ask me, what's the best radio? And I can say, okay, what's the best pickup truck? An F-150 or a Silverado? And that'll start a discussion that'll last for weeks because there is everything has good uh, properties. Some things don't. And radio ranges from you can get something for between $500 and up to 12,000 thereabouts. Of course, you don't want to drive your Ferrari to the grocery store for a gallon of milk, but anything that fits your budget. And there's some stuff that looks good, but I'd have some reservations about it. Uh, for instance, I was looking at something. All right, I don't know how I got that. Let me put my call letters in. Like,
Something seems to be going on with the net tonight. We seem to be freezing a lot. Maybe
oh,
we should turn off our videos except for the speaker.
is it on yours or is it on mine? I'm wondering.
I can't tell.
Okay, I have a couple of windows open because of the things I'm going to demonstrate. But well,
Yeah,
let's.
Bob was freezing a little when he was talking too, so probably a good idea to just not burn up the bandwidth.
Okay, let's see how that works. Okay. Anyhow, let's see. I want to share and uh, okay. All right. Does everybody see this baby on the screen?
It hasn't come up yet. Right now, we're just looking at. It looks like your Windows Explorer, and with
All right. I
a
was
list of stuff that says Chapter 5, and oh,
all
okay.
right,
Now we're back to you.
okay. Okay. Now, can you see
Oh
it?
yes, okay. Now we see. Yeah.
All right, now this is the prize. Everyone should aspire to this. It's the contesting station, and if you're on a contest, you're going to be very enthusiastic. Try to do all 24 hours of it, and which means you have to sit in the same chair all this time, and you get hungry, you get thirsty. So this thing has everything. It's got a 10-cup coffee maker, a microwave oven, a refrigerator. Plus, this is actually, I'll get a better picture of it in a little bit, but this is actually the $12,000 radio. So it's got everything you need. Now,
Always been a fan of Kenwood.
well, yeah, again, that's F-150 versus Silverado type of thing. And we'll get into a couple of dueling radios a little later on. Uh, I'm a big fan. No, I use VHF, UHF a lot, but I'm a bigger fan for the HF bands. I guess that's how I was raised from a pup back in 1957. And since 10 meters is very hot right now, you're getting international contacts almost all the time. I would probably push that a lot. And I also encourage you to upgrade as soon as you possibly can to get more privileges on the HF bands. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. Okay, so now, okay, now we're talking about several concepts. Number one, how do you communicate? There are a couple of ways of doing it. Actually, there are about 4 ways of generating an unmodulated radio frequency signal. One, the original way, was to generate a sparks using high voltage. A little refinement to that was to generate an arc. That would be a continuous arc, but a third way would be to rev up an alternator. Yeah, they had alternators way back in the early 1900s, kind of similar to the alternators we have in our automobiles. What they did was they would generate alternating current, and if you rev them up high enough, they can get into radio frequencies. As a matter of fact, I know of at least one that's generated, let's see, I think it was about 5 kilohertz or 5.5 kilohertz, and it was multiplied up by radio circuits to 17 kilohertz. And of course, there's the electronic way of doing it, either using tubes or transistors, or, well, the chips are transistors. So there are 3 ways of doing it. The first way, of course, was just turning the continuous wave on and off in a certain rhythm. Dit, da, dit, da, da, dit, da, dit, da, stuff like that. So that was the simplest way. And for that, you could use, I think I talked about crystal sets, or using semiconductors to detect radio signals. If not, someone yell at me and I'll review it. But anyway, with a spark radio and a crystal set, detector, you could communicate with other people. Now, up until the I guess 1910 or thereabouts, that's all we had. We had sending dots and dashes, or dits and das, as we do call them in ham radio. But in Christmas Eve 1906, radio operators on ships and land stations were surprised by somebody reading poetry, playing a violin, and also playing a, I think it was a wax cylinder symphony or something of that sort. And how in the world did you do that? Well, you impressed a sound signal upon a radio signal. And Reginald Fessenden, who was a Canadian, but he did a lot of work in Massachusetts, actually did that. He had an alternator. He called it a generator. And here he had a coil. Oops. He had a coil that, and then there was another coil that was would pick up the radio frequencies from the generator and feed it to the antenna. He also put a microphone in here, and the microphone signal, the audio signal, was impressed onto the radio signal. By mixing signals like that, that's called heterodyning. You'll probably see that term in the exam. But anyway, by doing this, and here's the microphone he used. These little sprockets sticking out were actually for water hoses, because this thing got quite hot I think he was handling a couple thousand watts of power, so it was quite a bit of heat. But anyway, took the carrier wave from the alternator, put the modulating wave, the poetry voice and violin sounds, and came out with a carrier wave that went up and down according to the amount of sound that was impressed on it. This is called amplitude modulation because the signal got stronger and weaker according to whatever the modulation, whatever the sound signal was. And a crystal detector was actually nothing more than a diode, a semiconductor diode that would remove the carrier and just keep the sound waves, which would make your headphone or your loudspeaker vibrate. And that way you'd hear the actual signal. And that's the signal you wanted. Okay, so that's amplitude modulation. Now the amplitude modulated wave, or a signal, I should call it, actually has three components. One is the carrier, which really didn't do anything for us. It's sort of a place marker. And then the signal itself would appear on both sides of the carrier. So let's see, 800 kilohertz here in the Detroit area, that's CKLW, the Canadian station. Back when I was a kid, that was the big rock and roll station. Anyway, so you have the audio signal going here and here. You don't need all of them. As a matter of fact, it's wasteful. So we electronically remove the carrier and electronically remove one of the sidebands. Now we have a protocol in ham radio. I'll talk to you about that in a minute or so about the sidebands. But anyway, all of the information that we need, all of the voice and music for CKLW is in this one sideband. Now, if you remove the carrier and remove the sideband, you're left with a single sideband. And that's what we call it. Any questions so far? There's another way of modulating a signal. And this started off in the 1930s. And eventually, by the 1960s, 70s, FM became very popular. It's shorter range than AM, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the signal quality is much, much better, especially if you're trying to send music. So you have an unmodulated carrier, a continuous wave here, and when you modulate, add the music or the voice, what you're doing here is causing the frequency to wobble. So this is the same as that. Now, one thing, to detect an AM signal, you use a diode detector, and it's called a detector. For FM, there's a circuit called a discriminator circuit, which changes the wobbles and frequency into the actual wobbles of the loudspeaker. Okay, we clear on that? We have some combinations of things. I'm sorry, somehow or other this got really bunged up. This is a teletype signal. It's another way of encoding information. And what this does, it transmits on two frequencies that are very, very close to each other. And when I get out of this, I'll try to play you a teletype signal. It's a digital type signal. It's one of the simplest ones because it was developed back in the 19 teens or thereabouts. I'm not sure whether you remember that they had these automatic typewriters that would be, going, making their noise and all that in the newsroom. And after a while, someone managed to make a wireless version of the signals that were going over a wire and get those automatic typewriters going. Okay, next. All right. Not sure why this got out of focus, but we're talking about FM radio and repeaters. One of the things about FM radio is, well, one of the things, there are two or three different things about it. Number one, it's on frequencies that are mostly line of sight. In other words, the signals are not going to bounce off the ionosphere and end up someplace else. They will either go directly to the antenna that sees it, either your handy-talkie antenna or no, some other tower antenna, and you talk that way. What a repeater does is pick up one signal, say your handy-talkie signal, and then rebroadcast it on another channel. So your radio is actually working on two channels. Now, the thing is, our repeater here in Oak Park has a range of somewhere around 30 miles. So if your handy-talkie is within that range, it's good chance that the repeater will pick it up and rebroadcast it over the 30-mile range. Otherwise, no, a handy-talkie to handy-talkie would be about a mile at best, mile and a half. So repeaters are really good. And I'll show you a little more about repeaters in a minute. This is actually my little transceiver, FM transceiver. It operates on two bands, 144 and megahertz, which is 2 meters, and 420 to 450, which is, what is it, 90 centimeters? Anyway, we always call it 2 meters and 440. It runs about 5 watts. Actually, this thing works on 3 different bands. It does have the 6-meter band in it. And there's a little coil that you screw onto the antenna so you can use it. I've never really used it for 6 meters. It's mostly computer. It has a bunch of memories, and it also will pick up AM signals from broadcast band up to, I don't know, about 20 megahertz. And I have listened to Voice of America on the thing, but that's not the main purpose. It also does aircraft band, and a pilot gave me the frequencies, and I was listening to the tower over at Detroit DTW Airport not that long ago. So it's really nice. You can buy this one cost me about $300 back in 2004. It's strictly analog, which means it's just does FM radio, doesn't do any of the exotic digital types of things. And it works. One thing, when it runs 5 watts, it gets warm. The transistors dissipate a lot of heat, And this thing is made of a lot of metal. So I actually had a mobile transceiver that got too hot to touch while I was running it. I was afraid it was going to burn a hole through the car seat. Anyway, this is something you can look at. Talk about different kinds of transceivers in a minute. This is a slight upgrade. It's a 50-watt transceiver, and it's built for mobile use mostly. As you can see, the control face can detach from the rest of the chassis, and you can buy a kit, or sometimes it comes with a kit with 20 feet of cord, so you can put the thing up on your dashboard and have the radio itself back in the trunk or under the seat, out of the way, and it's got full function. You can do most of the controls actually from the microphone. You see all these this little arrows will shift the frequency up and down, or the channels or repeater up and down. You can make telephone calls if the repeater is set up for that, and you can also enter frequencies and things of that sort. And what we recommend, even though a handy talkie is kind of sexy looking. I know when I was in high school, things like that were girl magnets for what it's worth. But it doesn't have the range, doesn't have the versatility that a good mobile has. And of course, it's got better range and gets into the repeater a lot better. We recommend you buy one of these and buy a power supply. A little later on, there's a slide that shows some places that do deals. So yeah, 12-volt power supply, or actually 13.8 volts, which I think is what the standard is for automobile batteries, and supposedly 30 amps. Well, although that's probably at peak. You shouldn't run more than say 28 or 25 to 28 amps on this. Your 50-watt radio will probably draw about 15 amps. If you buy a 100-watt HF to 6-meter transceiver, that'll draw anywhere from 20 to 25 amps. So this would do the job for you to set up your own station at home. Here's the back of it. This one just has a couple of terminals to get the voltage out. There are some power supplies that actually have an accessory jack that you can plug in the cigar lighter type of plug, so you don't have to do a whole bunch of switching and stuff like that to go from your car to the radio at home. Okay,
Hey, Jerry, if I could for a sec,
sure.
just real quick on the power supplies. A new ham that I'm friends with um, was at a garage sale with his wife, and they had a power supply there, and he went, "Oh, power supply," and the girl said, I don't know if it was a wife or a daughter, but she said, I think it was a daughter, and she said, the dad had passed away several years ago, and this was still a remaining item.
Mhm.
And she said, yeah, I think he used to use that for his radio.
Yeah,
And so he went, oh, cool. And they sold it to him for $25. He bought it, and it was 5 watt or 5 amp,
5 amps, which was
unusable.
that
As
was
soon as he keys up, his radio shut off. So
yeah,
you can listen, but with the 5 amps, it was just shutting his radio right off.
yeah, it was
So be careful what you buy before you buy.
yeah, it was built for an old CB radio, which was built. I think they're still supposed to run 5 watts, although I don't think anyone does.
Ah, okay. So see, I never did CB. So it's okay.
Yeah, so you have to look at the amperage on this
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and thanks for the warning. Okay, now here are a couple of radios, um, and here's the F-150 Silverado argument again. Uh, I've got this guy, ICOM 7300, which does HF, which is 1.8 megahertz or 160 meters, all the way up to 6 meters, which is 50 megahertz. And it's very sophisticated. Bob has this baby, the FT991A, which does HF to 50 megahertz, also does 2 meters, also does 440. And it's got, it's slightly different circuitry inside, but all very good, very dependable. So these are in the $1,000 range. So I would suggest that you start putting your change into a jar until you get about 10 pounds, and then start counting. Because at this point, this is the current technology, and I don't know if I'll ever want to trade mine in because it does everything I wanted to do. Okay, any questions so far? I'll come back to the virtues and of these radios. And as I say, technology has changed. This somewhere around 2015 or thereabouts, these guys came out and sort of burned out all the older stuff. I mean, the performance is just superb. Okay, I'm going to get out of this, and I stop the screen sharing. Okay, any questions so far? Because we still have quite a bit of stuff to get through, which will answer even more questions or even generate more questions. Okay. All right. Let's see where we are. Um, okay. All right. Let's talk about transceivers and switching. One of okay. Can people see this one? Two radios.
Right, it's the point. It looks like we're still on your Windows Explorer.
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay, there we see it.
All right. This was a typical novice radio station of the day, probably about 5 years after I got my novice license. This is a Heathkit DX35 or DX40 transmitter. It would transmit on CW and also AM phone. It did not have a variable frequency oscillator. The frequency was determined by crystals, quartz crystals, which would vibrate at a certain frequency. And back in the day, the novices were restricted to using crystals, not variable frequency oscillators. So we were kind of stuck to how many crystals we could buy. As a matter of fact, I used to buy Army surplus crystals, take them out of their holders, and using a I don't know, carborundum abrasive and water, would grind them to the right frequency that I wanted. And here's an older national receiver, which was the stalwart thing. The thing is, you had one antenna and you had two devices. So we went back to Dr. Frankenstein and asked to borrow one of his switches. And this was a transmit receive switch. The antenna would go into the middle to the common pole. This is, a single pole. This is a double pole, 1, 2, and a double throw, 1, 2, switch, if you remember from the parts as parts chapter. So I transmit, then I'd throw the switch to the receiver, and then receive. So we do that. You'd use relays, which are an electronic equivalent. And back in the day, there was something that used a tube. It was called an electronic TR switch. But the problem with that is that somehow or other, it's sucked the signal out of the receiver. So you lost a lot of sensitivity. So nowadays, you have radios. You click the button on the mic, and it automatically switches over. And we even have something called Vox, voice operated, where when you start talking, it will switch over to transmit. And believe it or not, there is something called an anti-Vox, which is a setting that will keep your loudspeaker from triggering the radio. And you don't want to have that. Okay. All right. Back to um, now, okay, are people seeing this, or should I stop and start again? Back to the,
I'm still just seeing your menu tab, saying chapter 5 and whatnot.
okay. All right, there it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's the ICOM 7300.
Mhm. Okay, a couple of features using repeaters. Number one, you have what is called CTCSS, which is a continuous tone channel. What we have are a set of subtones. They're below audible frequency, so you can't hear it, but the repeater can. And if it hears that tone, it will listen to you. If it doesn't hear that tone, it will not accept your signal. We sometimes call it a PL. That was a Motorola term for private line circuitry. And one of the things that it's good for, you can have certain people that will be recognized and certain people that will not. Back in the day, when I was in Chicago, we had a repeater working on the same frequency as the one that we used. It was about 80 to 100 miles away from us. If band conditions were right, then sometimes we would hear their signals. We would even hear their handy talkies. And of course, if we didn't have that PL, they would start triggering our repeater. So they had a different CTCSS or PL tone, yeah, than ours, and ours was I think 107.5 hertz. So everyone's everyone's kept in their place and all that. I think there is a Canadian repeater that is on our frequency, which is 146.14, isn't it? Yeah, 1464. So
14664.
yeah. So anyway, there's a possibility of Canadian stations interfering with us, but because we have the different entryway, the different subaudible tone, then we can avoid that. You can set all this stuff either by punching the right combination of numbers and stuff, or by going through a computer uh, and the computer would do all the programming for you. There's a program called Chirp, which is very popular. And I actually, one of our club members does have a Chirp on his laptop, and he brings his laptop. And anyone who wants to avail themselves of programming their radios can do so. Especially good for bail things, which are very difficult to program by just punching the dials or punching the buttons. Hey, all right,
I have a question.
sure.
Okay, on I got a GMRS license, and I've noticed some of the codes there. It'll say toes on or tone on mygmrs.com, but on another off that chirp, I think it's Repeater Book or one of the other ones, but they list them or some of the same ones as TSQL. Is there
Tone squelch. It's the same thing.
okay? I was wondering because I tried them out actually today, and it seems like it works both ways as far as I can tell.
Well, it could work both ways. You could actually program your little handy talkie or no, your radio to respond only if it hears a certain tone. Now, if you got I'll say firefighters and paramedics on the same using the same repeater. Of course, this is off ham bands, but someone wants to alert the firefighters, then they could transmit using just that one tone for the firefighters. Or if they need the EMTs, they could just activate them with that other subtone. I know somewhere around Kalamazoo, thereabouts, there is a repeater, or actually two repeaters that are operating. No, it's one repeater. It's I guess it has different remote receive sites. So that's something that extends the range of a repeater. If a handy talkie is too far away from the main repeater, sometimes it can't hear it so well. So I know that we have what one or two receive sites. One is at the city airport, and I think where's the other one, Bob? Do you remember?
I don't know which one is working. The north side doesn't work. The west side is also down, and the south side is yeah, we lost that one a while ago. I think there's one at AA8UU's house.
Okay, well, we're struggling now, but I know
The equipment is there, and I think it works a little bit, but
well, it's
yeah,
Isn't
we are looking for
isn't there
a
one at isn't there one at South Macomb Hospital?
I'm
yes,
not
there is.
12 in
Yes,
Hoover?
there is 12 in Hoover.
okay.
Yeah.
So that extends the range somewhat. Um, anyhow, let's see, where was I going with that? But in around Kalamazoo, uh, okay, here's another thing. Well, wait, no. If you have a certain tone, you'll activate one repeater. If you're, which I think is closer to Kalamazoo. If you have another tone, you'll activate another repeater, which is closer to Grand Rapids. I think they also have a setup where there's a repeater offset. No, there's an offset between the transmit and receive frequencies on your radio. Uh, for instance, if we tune our receivers to 146.64, but we transmit on 146.14. No, that's not. No, 0464, isn't it? Is it
Yeah, 146,040.
604? Okay. And
Yeah.
anyway, there's a 600 kilohertz separation between the transmit and the receive. And there's a convention, at least on the 2 meter band, that if you're below 147 megahertz, you transmit low. Your transmit frequency is going to be lower than the receive. If you're above 147, the transmit frequency is higher. And also in one of the areas, if you transmit low, then it'll activate one repeater station. If you transmit high, it'll activate another one in Grand Rapids. So you can do Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids using the same frequency set. When you get up to 440 and above, the separation is much higher, something like 5 megahertz. So if you take a look at the a repeater directory, which is actually in your handbook, it'll show some of the different frequency sets. Okay. And the other thing, squelch. Let me get into. Oh, is there something, Bob? I don't remember. Let me get out of this. Is there some? Where was that control that's allowed me to use outside sounds?
When you click the share button
Yeah.
before you pick your screen that you want to share, I think it's in the bottom left corner, and it says something about share your sound.
Who can share?
Yeah, on mine it's over on the right.
Oh, is it right?
Yeah,
Audio?
but you have to click your share, the green button, not the arrow. But I still can't get people to hear my radio when I play it, you know. So I'm not sure. I
Um,
may have something else set wrong.
let's
I
see.
tried to play sound files last week and it didn't work, Jerry.
I see. Okay, because we got it once, but
I know we used to, you know, but I don't know if they have
let's see.
an
Yeah,
update
and I
that.
was able to play sounds when I was teaching, so I don't know what's different.
Audio settings, anything in here? So I'd really like to be able to share some of that stuff. Um, audio.
Did you see that? Did you see that checkbox or whatever it is, Jerry?
Not. I did not. So no, no. Okay. But anyway, getting to squelch. Uh, Squelch is a kind of silencing the background noise. Otherwise, you'll hear a steady bunch of white noise, which is not too good. You know, it's very irritating. Now, most of the radios, most of the transceivers have an adjustable squelch level, but you have to get in through the menus and punching buttons and stuff like that to get to it. So on the lower frequency bands, I do have squelch, and it's on a potentiometer, if you remember what that is, and I can just adjust the level of squelch. One other thing about FM over AM, when you interfere with somebody else, FM has what's called a capture effect, which means that it will just the stronger the signal, it'll just pick that one up and reject everything else. So, so what? Oh, I'm set on a beacon. I can hear a beacon sending Morse code. Okay. Anyway, that's one thing about the capture effect. And let's see. I think well, especially if you have FM radio on your car going, you'll find that sometimes the signal fades, especially if you pass by buildings and things of that sort. And it's an effect called picket fencing. And I know that if I stop at a light and I'm listening to, say, the Ann Arbor radio station, which is about 40 miles away, sometimes I can hear it very well. Sometimes it really fades out. If I move 6 or 8 feet, it comes up again. So that's something to think about. And also, sometimes if a let's see, I don't remember if this chapter does all those FM characteristics, wave characteristics, or did you do that last week, Bob? Bob? Bob?
Hang on a second. I'm having a little difficulty here. Okay, okay. All right.
Last week,
I've
were you,
been playing around with my audio settings, Ben, so go ahead.
okay, did you cover picket fencing and
Yes,
sharp edges and all that sort of stuff last week?
yes.
Okay, good. I won't have to do that.
Okay.
So, but no, electronically, the capture effects of just capturing the strongest signal is electronic type of thing rather than an antenna type of thing. And if I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but it would be nice. No, it was nice when we had the class on Thursday nights because the local emergency management net would go on and we could hear how a net was run, how a control station controls the network to be able to get jobs done. But we also noticed that there were people who were trying to check in would say this is, then they stop and no let go of the and just to make sure that no one was transmitting at the same time. This is W9NPI and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's kind of what FM does. All right, shall we get back into let's whoops, wrong one. All right, so some of the virtues of okay, don't have to stop share and start again. It crashed. All right, excuse me. I want to get back into it. Okay, share. Okay. All right, so you see the contesting transceiver again?
Yes.
Okay,
And we are advancing. Yep.
good. Okay. All right.
Up to
Now,
the ICOM 7300.
yeah. All right. I'd like to do this one because I'm most familiar with it. Uh, there is a picture of the FT991 in your handbook, in your manual. And but anyway, I again, I'd like to encourage you, if you have the dough, to invest in something like this, which is going to uh, pay you with a little extra thrill. I'll explain why. Right. So at this point, we have, let's see, where's, ah, excuse me. Okay. All right. This is the current state of the art. Um, well, I don't know, maybe in another 5 years, there's going to be some more stuff. Back around 35, 40 years ago, a new circuit came into being called the phase locked loop, which made the radios much, much more stable. So you can have things like this going on. So it's a radio. It's uses a lot of digital signal processing. It's got its own sound card, and we found out that the sound cards do a heck of a lot better job of filtering out interference and static and stuff like that than all the electronic components that we used to use, all the electronic filters that we built. So some of the virtues. Number one, this will do CW, single sideband, both upper sideband and lower sideband. It'll do AM, it'll do FM, and it'll do digital. And this radio, for some strange reason, took that teletype, and they have circuitry in here that will decode and send teletype signals. There's much more effective stuff nowadays, so I don't know why they put that in, but it's there. So, power button, turn it on. This has a slot you can put up to at least a 32 gig memory chip in here, and it does a lot of good stuff for you. You can even record messages, and if someone wants to listen to his own signal, you can record his signal and play it back to him. It has a tuner, very limited tuner, and as we mentioned, the tuner is a device that makes the transmitter part of their transceiver happy, even when the antenna doesn't really match. But it's very limited. If you get a 3-to-1 SWR That's about as low as it's going to go. And there are external tuners that you can put in. Let's see, actually, yeah. Here's the connection for an external tuner, and for about $200, you can get something that'll do at least a 10-to-1 mismatch, which is good. I don't know if we gotten into Bob. Did you get into the religion of standing wave ratios?
Yeah, we did a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice to the gods of SWR.
Yes, but of course, as same as mile wide and 1 inch thick. So
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So by pushing this button, it will either activate the internal tuner or activate the external tuner and make the transmitter happy. Vox break-in. With Vox, well, you speak and the thing switches over to transmit. Break-in means if you start sending with a key, the thing will start switching over. And there's a fast break-in and a slow break-in. With fast break-in, you can start sending, and you can hear the other stations in between your sending. So if someone is interfering with your signal and the guy can't hear you, he can go did, 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 and you'd hear that, and you'd stop sending and try to resolve the situation. This radio does have a built-in electronic keyer. So I use a straight key or a semi-automatic key, a bug, but you can use electronic keyer pedals, and it'll do a good job making the dits and das automatically. All right, headset. The microphone does a lot of stuff besides just switching the transmitter and receiver over, and you can change frequencies and do a lot of other stuff with it. That's why it's got the 8 pins. There are two circuits. It's called a preamp. It goes between the antenna and the radio and boosts up the signals. Sometimes it boosts it up too much and overloads the radio. But sometimes if the conditions are really bad and the signals are faint, a little extra add addition there. It's got a noise blanker, which picks up static and neutralizes it. Something called noise reduction. Not sure how it works, but it makes the signals much clearer. So that's always nice to have. This is pretty much the sensitivity and volume control. AF control is the actual volume control. RF is actually adjusting the sensitivity of the radio. A little less sensitive or more sensitive. And if you get up to this point, it starts becoming a squelch, and you can dial in the amount of squelch you want. Actually, for almost anything except FM, you don't need the squelch. It has filtration, which will put a narrow, or you can even move it. If there's a signal here, you can move it over and you can reject that signal. It also has a notch filter. If there is, yeah, look at this thing. This looks like it's clear. It's not modulated. It's not being turned on or off. And if you're listening to a guy right next to this, you'll hear a constant tone. This notch filter can electronically eliminate that. This multi-button, depending on where you are, you punch the button, it'll give you your power level. You can change the speed of your keyer, and so on and so forth. Um, okay, I'm trying to get rid of this. Okay. All right. There are actually two radios in this thing, or no, two half radios, an A radio and a B radio, or VFO, variable frequency oscillator. And you can have them on different frequencies, which is good because if you're trying to contact a rare station, usually there might be a dozen or so more stations who want to talk to the guy. And if everyone's calling him at the same time, he can't really be heard. So what he'll do, he'll park on a frequency and say 5 up, which means that nobody talks to him on his frequency. They will go up 5 kilohertz and talk to him from there. That way he can just tune around here, and then when he talks, everyone can hear him. That's the split function. So you can receive on one frequency. It's almost like not quite a repeater. You can receive on one frequency, and you can send to him on another frequency. By punching this button XFC, you can switch between what he's saying and what all the other guys are saying. And sometimes if he's talking to a guy and saying, oh, okay, I've got W9XYZ, sometimes you punch this, you can hear where W9XYZ is, and tune to where he is. So when he finishes the conversation with that guy, you can transmit near his frequency, and maybe you'll have a chance of getting him in. All right. RIT means that you can, if the I just saw a question in the question pool about this. If the guy doesn't sound right, or you can change his frequency without actually changing his frequency. You can listen up or down, I think about 5 or 6 kilohertz from the frequency that you're at without having to split. One of the problems with split is that sometimes I forget to turn it off. So I might be on 7010 and I'm transmitting on 14.125. That ain't good. So got to make sure that when you're finished with the splitter operation, turn it back on, turn it back off. All right. This thing has whole bunches of memories, so you can put things in memory, favorite networks that you want to work, or things of that sort. One thing. Sometimes especially if a guy is getting dozens of people trying to call him at the same time, he goes into sort of a manufacture mode. So we'll just say, okay, W9NPI, you're 5'9", and then I say, okay, you're 5'9", Michigan, and that's the conversation. This has a voice recorder and a keying recorder. So, no, hitting the menu, I don't have the functionality here of getting into the menu, but getting into the menu, I can punch 2 buttons. One says, when I punch the button, it says W9NPI, and the guy will say W9, W9NPI, W9N, W9NPI, keep on punching until he gets it. Then he says, you're 5'9". I punch the second button, you're 5'9", Michigan. Have we gotten into signal reports yet?
I haven't covered signal reports at all, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, well, signal reports. We've got a meter on all the transceivers. Right here, it's on a little slide rule here. say S, not S meter, strength meter. And when you're using voice, uh, not using FM, but when you're using AM or single sideband, you will say your readability is on a scale of 1 to 5. You're 5, and your strength is, according to this meter, goes up to 9, and then it goes a few notches above certain dBs over 9. And if you say 5.9, which means that you're in a pretty strong situation. Now, if the guy is really, really strong, like my friend 3 blocks away, you're 30 dB over 9, thereabouts. But usually it's just a convention. Even if the signal is not 5.9, people will say you're 5.9 because just to get the paperwork done. And the same thing holds with the CW. There's a recorder. I can punch in CQ from W9NPI in Morse code, and I can do the same thing. Is W9NPI. One button says that. The other one says, hello?
Can I make a comment there, Jerry?
What's that?
Can I make a comment there?
Sure.
So one of my pet peeves, because I'm pretty big in emergency management, and communication is important. And it makes me crazy to learn that a lot of hams will just say, you're 5'9". They'll say, you're coming across, your signal's strong and you're perfectly clear. When I have, I might have what we call bacon in the background. It's static. Sounds like bacon frying in the background. So I might really be somewhat hard to hear. But
Yeah.
on my end, I don't know that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if you tell me I'm 5'9" and you're just lying to me, that means the next time I talk to you, you're going to have trouble hearing me again. Tell me that instead of I'm 5, tell me I'm 1, tell me I'm 2, tell me I'm 3. Tell me that I'm not perfectly clear and that I got bacon so I can find out why on my system I'm not perfect. It's one of
My,
my pet peeves. So please don't be one of those hams that just says you're 5'9" and moves on. Please don't do that. Okay, I'm done.
Mike, you're 5'9". Please repeat your name, your location.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
it's kind of a convention for some in some contests where you're just doing a your call sign, your signal report, and your state or your grid square, whatever. Sometimes it's just it yeah. Sometimes it's just traditional to just give a 5.9. I know
But it's
it's
wrong. But it's
yeah.
wrong. I mean, it
Yes, it's
doesn't
wrong.
take you any longer to tell me I'm 2'4" than it does to tell me I'm 5'9". All you got to do is look somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem is though that you don't want that guy to come back and say, "What? How can I be that?" You don't want
Well,
to start a
I've never heard
conversation.
anybody. Yeah, and I've never heard anybody come back when I've told them that they got some bacon in the background. Just so you know,
Okay.
everybody I've said thanks me. So, and I don't know, maybe someday I will. What do you mean? But you know what? If somebody gets upset because you tell them that they're not sending a perfect signal, it's not my problem. It's their problem
Well, that's it. In my
because I
house,
can't fix them.
yeah. Well, there are some things I can fix. There are a couple of dead spots in my house, and if I'm using the handy talkie, if I move over a foot or two, I'm out of the dead spot.
Right.
All right. I don't know. Have things changed that much? Because we used to say oh, you're full quieting into the repeater, which means there's no bacon frying, there's no distortion or anything of that sort.
Yes, some people use that. Most people just use the numbers now. When I do repeater crawls and stuff like that, and that's all we do all night. We go on, go to 10 different repeaters, and the 20 different people are just reporting on how they're receiving on that repeater. And I would say of the 20 people that are there, one or two will use the phrase full quieting when it's 5.9.
Yeah.
The rest will just give the numbers.
Okay. Well, again, conventions have changed over the years. So I'm considered an oldster, so I might be an antique on some of the stuff I say, but hopefully I'm giving you some good information. Okay, let's see, anything else on this thing? Um, oh, there are on this spectrum display, which is another thing. This is called a waterfall because uh, it actually moves, and you can see the signals. These are Morse code signals. It's the Morse code part of the code part of the band, and you can see the little dits and dots in there. And when you get up to, well, and you can see from this spread anywhere from 7.0 to 7, say, 0.030. You can see any of the stations by hitting the edge here. It will expand it. You could probably see the whole band and see if there's any activity on it and who to contact. This is a touch screen. So if you touch right over here, it'll get you near. You'll have to fine tune a little bit, but it'll get you near that station. And there are two ways of viewing this. You can either see the whole broad spectrum, or if you hit the center fix, it will give you a slot, maybe anywhere from 2.5 kilohertz to 500 kilohertz broad. And I like to put it at, say, 10 or 25 kilohertz, so I can see the individual signals up and down. It's a lot easier to visualize how much interference is there and so on and so forth. Okay. Any questions at this point? Okay. Hope I haven't stunned you guys too much. All right. Digital. Got to do digital. All right. Let me see if I can find stuff I had for digital. Oh wait, let's before digital. Okay. No, not that one. Okay. Uh, where did it go? Okay, we got this.
Yes, yes, we do.
All right. Now this is a rotating antenna, as you can see. It's built for looks like 440. It's built for something else. It does the azimuth, which is just a circle. It also does elevation. And actually, there's software out there that will allow you to track a satellite as it passes by you, or as the Earth moves and the moon's position changes. And people have bounced signals off the moon and on a regular basis. So that's something to aspire to. Now, all right, here's all right, share. Where you go? All right, here's what radio teletype sounds like. Except I can't hear it. Can you?
No, unfortunately, no.
Uh,
Yeah, in order for that to work, you got to have that button pushed when you share.
oh, really?
Yeah, so if you stop sharing and then hit the share button again, but then find that thing to click that says share my sound or something like that, or use my computer sound or something. I don't remember what it says.
Gee. Well, let me try it again. Oh, sorry. I'll stop sharing. And advanced sharing options.
Oh, it's not it. I don't think it's in advanced sharing options. Don't
No,
hit
I
the
think it's
arrow.
on that initial screen where
Yeah,
you pick the
hit the
where
the
you
green
pick the
arrow.
monitor you want to pick. It's
One
on that
participant,
initial
multiple
screen.
participants. That's all it says. It's not an
No,
audio.
no, no. Don't hit that arrow. Go and hit the green square.
Oops. Hit the green square.
Yeah. And that should bring up a big rectangle.
No. Oh, okay. I guess we're
Well, damn it.
here. Something says share sound.
Ah,
Wowie,
there you go.
wowie, boys and girls. Okay. Now I can get out of that. All right. And
Nope.
it's not doing it. All right.
Nope, I'm not hearing anything. Darn.
That used to work. I don't know.
Yeah, it worked. It worked the first week when I was sharing sounds.
Yeah, we've had an update to Zoom since then. Actually, we've had two updates to Zoom since then.
Stuff was working, so they had to fix it.
Switch to phone
Hey,
audio.
can you hear this? Morse code
No.
says share sound.
Nothing.
Okay.
All right.
I guess we'll have to learn what we want. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to think. Well, uh, FT8 is a cacophony of sound. What they're doing is uh, they're cramming 15 or 20 different stations in the same space of a voice channel. And if you remember, the voice channel that we're talking about is what was it, 2.3 kilohertz wide. So you get a lot of signals in there. Was it Jim Taylor, K1JT, who is a Nobel Prize winner, devised this digital way of sending signals. And it's very, very weak signal type of propagation. So even with a bad antenna or inefficient antenna, you can still make contacts. And that is the typical deal now. Let's see. Uh, I'll tell you. No, it's not working. All right. Well, I'll try to put that in right now. You have a program called WSJT. Let's see, share. Okay. Okay. I'm screen sharing. All right, you can see this. You can see this guy, Bob.
Yes, yes, we can see him.
Okay. So this is going to make you very upset, Mike. I'll tell you, because the FT8 is a very short contact, just give you signal strength and your grid area location, and that's about it. So here. You come up with a list every 15 seconds. It broadcasts a bunch of crazy tones. And here you have people calling CQ. These are, well, it's the same guy. It's VK7HH, which is Australia. Here's 4X1YS, which is I believe Israel. OE is Belgium. JA1, that's Japan. Also the GRs. ZL3, that's New Zealand. These are all things that the guy is listening to from all over the globe. And you take your cursor and you want to talk to this guy, just click, and the transmitter automatically goes on. If he responds, then you respond. He responds, well, he's sending CQ, and you transmit, and then he tells you what your signal strength is. You automatically come back to him. I've received your signal strength thing. You're at a strength of 10, or it's a signal noise ratio of 10. Then if he says, yes, I've heard you, you've exchanged all the data you need for the contact. You say 73 and go away. That's it. Now, the interesting thing about this, I have some software that controls my radio. It also controls my log. It will take all this information and put it into my logbook. And I can go on there's a website called qrz.com, which I subscribe to. And most hams will have a page on it, and they'll have a picture and what they're about, their interests and things of that sort. So you can learn a little about it, guys. And some of it's a lot more interesting than you think. But that's what it is. There, it's called FT8. These are the different frequencies within, or different tones within that 2.3 kilohertz band. And this is this guy's little niche, that's that guy's little niche, and so on and so forth. And this will tell you whether your timing is set. If it goes above 1 point something, then you have to have special software that will correct your time to the internet time, and everything is at the very, very exact time. These are the signal noise ratios. The more positive the number, the stronger the signal. If it goes below 24 or thereabouts, you can barely hear the guy. And the fellow down the street, I think, got up to about 47, plus 47. I was afraid he was going to burn a hole on my screen. All right. Okay. All right. That's the deal. I think. Got any questions? Rourke, you're good for questions.
I'm good right now. Oh, just on that program, does it? So a DCTS is the same, or basically, it, if you just listen to somebody else with the same DCTS.
You're talking about the entry codes?
Yeah, on that chirp. Is that
Uh,
for receive?
Usually, your transceiver is going to be open. It's not going to have that assigned at all. Your transmitter will be set to that subaudible tone. CTCSS, what is it? DCTS is, yeah, there are two sets of codes, and there's also something called tone burst. Um, DCTS, I'm not sure if I got the right initials on it, but that's yeah, I think it is. That's the DTMF. That's what it is. DTMF. That's the tones you use on your telephone, and these are the ones that will activate the uh, the telephone system if it has it. I don't know, Bob. Do we still have, or maybe you know, Mike? Do we still have the telephone hookup on the repeater?
On the repeater? Yeah, we do.
Okay, because I remember once some guy was making long distance calls over it. Did not make us happy when we got the bill. Okay, but the DTMF and tone burst are other ways of activating the repeater, but we don't use that. I don't think it's used in the United States anymore. I think the tone burst was a more of a European type thing. Did I answer your question, Rook?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Richard, Kim, try to scrape the glaze off your eyes and tell me what you think.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay. So all right. So let me get one or two more things then. Um All right. What's a good station? What's a good station?
104.3.
Or
Pardon?
90.9. 90.9 would be playing jazz at this time of night.
Yeah. They switch over at about 7 or 8 o'clock.
7 o'clock, yeah.
Is something supposed to be playing? Because I don't hear anything.
No, nothing's supposed to be playing. You should be looking at an ad for a radio.
I see you.
You don't see the ad?
I see the ad.
Nope, now I do.
Yeah.
All right. This is a trusted website. It's called R&L Electronics. They're based out of I think Hamilton, Ohio, it's a suburb of Cincinnati. I've bought stuff from them, and what they'll do, they'll get a high-class Chinese radio. TYT is a good brand, and they'll pair it up with a power supply, and sometimes there's a little savings to it. So here, CTCSS, code, uncode, so on and so forth. And this particular radio will do 10 meter FM, which you can't use as a technician, but then 50, 140, 144, and 440. You can't do a full duplex like a telephone. You have to send and receive separately. And dual band operation, I didn't say too much about that. If you're going through a satellite, usually you'll send or receive on one band and receive and send on the other band. So that's something to think about if you're going to do that. So anyway, well, what does this say? 25 or it doesn't say how many watts. But anyway, it's got a pretty good features for this. They always have something different every month, so you might as well check them out. And when I send you my famous "What Every Young Ham Should Know" bulletin, it'll probably be near the end of the month. You'll get a few more of my recommendations and prejudices. Okay. And let's see, let's get into um, I don't know if I can get this any bigger. Okay. Share. Um, no, I don't have that. Um, okay, here's something you should know about. Uh, I got this off the ARRL website, and it's what technicians can do.
Okay, we're still seeing the GP1 Comet. It
You
looks
are?
like part of a
Oh, let me
ad for a 2 meter 70 centimeter.
yeah, let me get back to that. Oops. Right. Okay. This thing is what, about 4 foot long? Yeah, 4 foot 1 inch long with the connector. This is a pretty good station for your base station, and dual band, so you'd be able to use 144, 440. Decent price, and it will last you a long time. It'll go up to 200 watts, and I don't know if very many people who are building high power amplifiers for VHF, UHF, but that's something to think about. All right. And get on that. Okay, now let's
Okay,
okay, now we got the bands.
yes.
Okay. Now there are companies that sell readers for code. You can even get keyboards that will send Morse code if you want to do that. For the lower frequencies, you have privileges for 80, 40, 15, and 10 meters. 80, 40, and 15 are Morse code only, or CW only. However, once you get up to 10 meters, it gets quite a bit better because you have CW, radio teletype, and data. And at 28.074 megahertz, you have the FT8 frequency, which will get you worldwide. And also, you have voice. No one uses CW on between 28.3 and 28.5, but plenty of good communications now. The radio waves are well, the ionosphere is very active now. Right now, it's probably a little too active because I think we had a couple of solar flares, so reception is not very good right now. But probably by the end of the week, it'll be a lot better. And of course, once you get up above 10 meters, the world is yours. Uh, you have anything you want up to 1.5 PEP input, or output, I should say, 1.5 kilowatts. We have, well, these are required by the FCC, I think, but we do have band plans, which we'll get into when we talk about operating. Uh, but up above 2 meters, you can start putting in television, and there's fast scan television. So There are some restrictions. I haven't looked lately, but I think we may. I'm not sure whether we're restricted between here, but most of the repeaters are going to be between 440 and 450 megahertz. There are a couple of repeaters of 902. I'm not sure of any of at 1240. And also, when we let's enlarge this a little bit. Somewhere around here, 2300 to 2310 to 2390 to 2450. I think there's it's very close to a band of frequencies used for drone racing. And you have to have a license to use the ones that are within the amateur frequencies, which means if you're in a very crowded contest, you have an advantage of having a ham license because you won't have as much interference of other people using those channels. So there you go. There's a website in Hong Kong. It's called banggood.com, which has a lot of very interesting stuff. And so far they're still setting up for not at war with China or anything of that sort. I've bought things from them, and some of it's okay, some of it's yeah. I've seen some radios which are very interesting, but sometimes they're one of a kind. Uh, some guy buys a couple of chips, knows how to mount them, and bingo, he's got a radio. And it might work, and may not, may have all sorts of problems, but it's real cheap. So there you go. Pays your money, takes your chance. That's why I recommend getting something a little more established. Uh, there's a line of radios, Shigu, I think it's called. Um, um, okay, where's oh, okay, text. Uh, add text. I think that's how it's spelled, isn't it?
I'm not familiar with that brand.
Uh,
I think that's correct.
they're in the $500 to $700 class. Very sophisticated. I think you can get service and all that, but you're talking about like 20 watts output, which is going to be a problem if you're trying to make contests, things of that sort. Okay, so anyway, it's something to take a look at. There are radios that are built in Russia and in India, which is great. But make sure that there's some kind of report, some support here in the United States if something goes wrong. Otherwise, you could make a new coral reef in Lake Michigan, Lake Huron with it. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop the share. And okay. And Close the whiteboard. Okay. All right. I think I've had my say.
Okay, very good.
All right. Anything else? I'll let you guys out a little early so you could drown your sorrows or whatever,
Yeah,
try to absorb.
that's right, class. It's Miller time.
I'll, I'll put this on the web page, on the YouTube page this evening, and you can mull it over. W9NPI at Comcast.net. If you have any questions, or no, talk to any of us. We all have our,
Okay.
I have a question.
yeah, Roy?
Okay, it's from a little while ago, but on the feed lines, you were showing like the different types, and one of them was an open one that like you could put through a window seal or whatever. It's got like two leads, and there's like no
We're
insulation
talking about
plate.
ladder line or
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
Okay. My question is, okay, there's a lead. There's two leads going through it. I was just wondering, are those both positive, or is just one of them negative and one of them positive?
They're not. They're not negative or positive. They're equal. It's an alternating current going through there. And here I'm going to I'll try to put this one up. Oops. Um,
Okay. Thank you. That explains a lot. I was just thinking about that the other day.
okay. Geez, what I don't want to share the whiteboard. I want to share screen. How do we do that? Ah, grief. Ah, there it is. Okay. All right. Unhappily, the MFJ Corporation has gone out of business. However, a lot of the radio stores still stock things, so if you can grab it, you can get it pretty quick. Grab it as fast as you can. But here is a window feed-through panel that they have, which has coaxial cable lines, something for the ladder line, and something for a random wire. Now, with the ballast line and the random wire, you're going to have to use either a Balun, Balun, which is a special, specially wound coil of wire, or an antenna tuner that can do that. A lot of antenna tuners do have a balun inside. So this takes care of a lot of the problems. Or if you're handy, you can just drill something out of a piece of wood. So that's a little tip.
Okay. Thank you very much. I was just wondering about that.
Can you see mine here? See, that's the
Mike,
one that I got.
Mike, why don't you share your screen?
Yeah,
So,
Oh, okay.
you're shareable.
Bum. I don't have the green button.
Bottom of the screen.
yeah, move your cursor
Video
down there. It'll
participants
reappear.
more. I don't have a share, Bob.
Ah,
You should.
yeah,
I have it set so multiple.
Oh, it just popped up. It just
Yeah.
popped up. I don't know why it wasn't there before, but it just
good.
popped up now. So, well, wait a minute. I'm not sure. I don't want to share my screen. I want to share my camera.
Yeah, if we want to see you live, what you need to do is up in your upper right corner, you change your view and you go to speaker view. It'll make the speaker be big. We need to each do that on our systems to see.
Oh yeah, so if everybody does that, when whoever talks, they go big
Exactly.
in your screen. That's what you're saying. So yeah, if everybody does that, and then I can go over here and show
Yeah,
you what
yeah.
I got in my window here. And this is just a piece of MDF that has a piece of stainless steel on each side of it, holes drilled in it, the connectors added to it, and so it's something I put together for pretty cheap. Um, put my own labels on it, and it's the exact same thing that he had there, which I saw it. I saw that when before they went out of business, and went, oh my gosh, they want like $100 for that. Oh my gosh, I can't justify that, but I can make it.
Yeah.
So is yours
So
insulated so you can
what's
keep it
that?
there during the winter?
Um, it is not. I have been. This here is an insulator here, and the window's just pushed up against it tightly. I have a jam rod in the bottom and top of the window to hold it tightly against it.
Okay.
And it has this foam insulation on the top also, and I wedge it in there and then let it drop down, and then that foam expands. It's not spray foam; it's a piece of like foam tape that I cut and put in there. Um, so it's kind of hard to get the thing in, but yeah, I leave it in there year round.
Okay, great. Thanks for the ideas.
Good piece of
No
work.
problem.
Okay, guys, I'm going to turn off the recording now, and we'll wish